In today's news, Immigration and Customs to be granted more powers under the Immigration Act, and Mr. George Shawala Burrows Memorial Softball Tournament kicks off.
As well as the BVI launches COVID-19 Human and Economic Impact Assessment Report, and the ULP wins 9 seats in St. Vincent 2020 general elections. All this and more when 284 News returns.
The win! Oh! I'm freaking out!
Is time.
284 News.
Coming to you live and direct from the beautiful British Virgin Islands.
What's poppin', what's really good, what's happening, what's up?
Davis has won it for the Lakers!
Welcome everybody. It's Friday, November 6, 2020. We are coming to you live and direct from our home, our paradise, Tortola in the beautiful British Virgin Islands. I'm Ron Grant.
And I am Kyla Kenisha Forbes. Now, viewers, you're wondering, why are we in blue, wonderfully all dressed up in our territorial wear? We want to wish all our viewers and the entire British Virgin Islands a happy Culture Day. Most definitely.
No, we are stuffed. We had a beautiful meal of all different ethnicities from across the region. But it's such a beautiful thing to celebrate your heritage and culture. And for that, we employ and encourage all Virgin Islanders to continue to do that.
Most definitely.
In addition to that, the Speaker brings attention to a few bills stuck at the Governor's office, which we mentioned before.
And the new waste management bill will be coming into legislation.
All right, Immigration Customs officials to get powers to fine illegal immigrants.
The government looking at abolishing juries for some high court trials.
It's a very interesting story, Kyla, that we're going to be continuing to cover. And of course, One Mart Super Story, they have officially breaked ground for a new store in the East End Longlook area.
Ron, I've been speaking about this a little more, just how exciting the people of the 8th and the 7th district are. Things are really looking up for us over in that area. It's about time. Also, swift fines for illegal immigrants under the proposed amended Immigration Act, and we'll definitely be getting a little bit more into that. But before we jump into our news, up to press time and recording time right now. Of course, persons are still awaiting
the highly anticipated results.
Yeah,
of the
results as it pertains to the U.S. elections. It does look as though the U.S. will be having a new president-elect, and we're definitely looking forward to that maybe later tonight or tomorrow morning.
Wonderful.
Most definitely. So let's just jump right into it, viewers. Now, as a frontline border agencies, both of them, Immigration and Customs in the British Virgin Islands, will soon be granted powers under the soon-to-be amended Immigration and Passport Act to actually fine illegal immigrants without having to go through the territory's court systems. Now, Governor Augustus Jaspert, he revealed this during the speech from the throne in the House of Assembly on Thursday. Governor Jaspert also said a general revision of the Immigration and Passport Act Cap 130 will be conducted to bring the legislation in line with the international best practices. Governor Jaspert said, and I quote, "Our government will seek to amend the Immigration and Passport Act to ensure that the Immigration Department, as a frontline border agency, has the requisite powers to charge compound fees on persons who enter the country illegally without having to take them to court." Governor Jaspert explained that this will free up the court system from dealing with these types of immigration-related issues. He said, and I quote, "This frees up the court system from dealing with smaller cases and allows the Immigration Department to expedite issues while sending a strong message for those attempting to enter illegally." Now, Ron, this measure is expected to also assist with ensuring that the act is in keeping with the transformation plan in store for the Immigration Department.
Indeed, quite a monumentous bill that is to be looked at, and we continue to wish the Labor Minister and his team the very best as they continue to seek to revamp the way labor and immigration, the policies at least, the way that works. Continuing on the local scene, the British Virgin Islands COVID-19 Human and Economic Impact Assessment Report that presents the overall impact of the coronavirus on the territory of the Virgin Islands has been launched. Now, Premier and Minister of Finance, the Honorable Andrew A. Foy, and United Nations Assistant Secretary General Dr. Felipe Luis Lopez Calva launched the report during a virtual high-level event on November 2nd. Premier Foy said the report paints a picture of the virus impact on the territory of the Virgin Islands, taking into account its initial spread to the islands and the wider Caribbean region. Now, he gave an overview of the impact of COVID-19 on the British Virgin Islands, stating, and I quote, "Through targeted action, infection has been kept to a minimum and outbreaks were quickly contained." Premier said report has helped guide the government of the Virgin Islands COVID-19 response and remains a reference point as it fine-tunes its policies, prescriptions to drive the recovery from global pandemic. Now, Premier Foy said the social impact of the virus has been more strenuous on women and children who have become more vulnerable. Mothers, he said, who bear the disproportionate burden of raising children have had to manage working at home alongside supervision of children involved in virtual learning. Now, children, he added, have had to adjust to a learning environment outside of the classroom, away from their peers, and also sometimes unhealthy and unsafe conditions. Now, children with special needs have not had the consistent support required over the past months. Honorable Foy stated that the economic impact of COVID-19 on the British Virgin Islands is felt most strongly in the tourism sector, which accounts for roughly a third of the GDP. He continued by saying this has resulted in a considerable slowdown in business activity in the tourism industry itself and related industries, which in tune has reduced a dramatic spike in unemployment and social disapplications. Now, the HEAT report projects a GDP decline of 13% to 17% in 2020, given the current prevailing conditions in the tourism sector. Premier Foy said that the technical assistance and financial support the government has received from the United Nations has served the territory well. Now, he continued by saying the UNDP's Surge Support Program assisted the Ministry of Finance and the Premier's office in doing official policy work, including molding the economic and social impacts of COVID-19 and other potential external shocks, developing a business confidence survey and framework for assessing national fiscal financing options, and of course, designing a results framework to measure and track extraordinary financial, economic, and social support measures adopted by the government in response to COVID-19. Now, the Premier continued by saying the UNDP's generous grant of $40,000 has also assisted our restaurant businesses classified as micro, small, and of course, medium-sized enterprises in moving toward digitalization and really diversifying their services and operations. 10 food operations received grants of $4,000 each that is helping them, or should help them rather, to become more resilient by retooling and retransforming their businesses. Kyla, we see where this report, a very extensive report, and viewers, I might add, this report in its entirety is available on our website at 284media.com, but we see where it's highlighting exactly what we have all seen and anticipated. Women, children, tourism aspects, tourism businesses are at stake. And this, unfortunately, the effects of COVID-19 is not a one-time effect. These are effects that are going to affect us for quite a bit. We're going to continue to try to maneuver through it and adjust, but we really see where the territory of the Virgin Islands has taken a significant economic blow because as a result of COVID-19.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Now, viewers, we have so much for you as the Softball Association holds a tournament in memory of Mr. George Shawala Burrows and so much more. This is 284 News, and we'll be right back.
How does financial services benefit the BVI? It's been around for more than 3 decades before the World Wide Web and is now part of the everyday life of our islands. More than 2,200 people are directly employed in financial services, and another 3,000 jobs are supported indirectly. Jobs are corporate service providers, lawyers, insolvency, accounting, banking, insurance, regulators. That's almost 27% of the national workforce. Of those, more than 65% are BVI landers and belongers. What about restaurants, supermarkets, or shops? Well, 100% of people eat. So, they buy food. They buy swimsuits and shampoo and cars and power tools and plantains and fish and roti and pates. Financial services employees buy painkillers and lots of beer. Then there's electricity and dental floss and toilet paper and pretty much everything else. And everyone needs a roof over their heads and a place to do business, so we all rent or buy from a local landlord. Housing and office space alone means millions of dollars into the pockets of BVI families. At the end of the day, everyone benefits, including charities who receive thousands of dollars every year. And more than 60% of all government revenues come from fees paid by financial services. This money is spent on schools, roads, ports, scholarships, the environment, health, sports, children, youths, and the elderly. Financial services contributes more than $290 million to the BVI economy. That's more than 30% of all economic activity is driven by financial services. This creates thousands of jobs all across the islands, meaning more people have a way to earn a living. What does financial services do for the BVI? Let's just say it keeps our lights on. Financial services is everybody's business. So, come on, mind your business and let's not keep this to ourselves.
Welcome back, viewers. Now, as I was saying before the break, just last week, the Virgin Islands Softball Baseball Association kicked off the George Shawala Memorial Softball Tournament. The tournament continues this weekend until up to December. Now, Mr. George Shawala Burrows was murdered, unfortunately, in his personal estate home on September 2nd, 2020. Mr. Burrows was described as a family man and was known for his love for the sport, softball. Now, the association saw it fitting to honor Mr. Burrows and his memory in the most fitting way. Now, our newsroom reached out to Miss Bria Smith, the General Secretary for the Softball Baseball Association, to basically speak on the nature of this ongoing tournament. She said, and I quote, "After the tragic passing of long-standing softball national team player Mr. George Shawala Burrows, the Virgin Islands Softball Baseball Association found it fitting to host a memorial tournament in his honor." The tournament was open to the public for all to join. However, games began on Sunday, November 1st and will continue into December. The tournament is taking a round-robin approach with a single elimination round and a championship game. The funds raised during the tournament, exclusive of the team's entry fees, will go towards the family of the dearly departed. Now, the teams included in this tournament, in the men's division, we have Power Outage, Pirates, Hot Shots, Los Marquielos, and the Storms. And the women's division, we have the West End Warriors, Synergy, That's Your Problem, and Lady Hawks. This tournament is anticipated to be held yearly in Mr. Burrows' memory. Now, Ms. Smith said, and I quote, "It is our hope and intention to continue to host this memorial tournament in his honor yearly. The public, of course, is encouraged to come out and support the teams and the tournament, as the games will be played every Saturday and Sunday, beginning at 5 p.m. on Saturdays and 4 p.m. on Sunday." But Ron, we see where the association, unfortunately, having to see the death of Mr. Burrows even before the lockdown, as softball started back after 3 years before his untimely death. Mr. Burrows was out there playing and doing what he loved. He was playing and was warming up with the Storms, but he was a long-standing member of the Pirates, and we're just hoping that we'll see the Pirates in the championship. Indeed. To basically just honor his memory in general. But we see where it's just going on, and it's definitely great to see, and we do encourage everyone to go out.
Most definitely. One of the beautiful things about the homegoing and celebration for the life of Shawala, Mr. Burrows, is that the ceremony was held on the softball field, and it really encapsulated his legacy and what he contributed to the sport and the community, and we're happy to see his legacy continue to be honored. Now, continuing on over in the U.S. Virgin Islands, the VI Consortium has reported that the election system of the Virgin Islands said Thursday that it erred when election night numbers showed Senator Donna Fred Gregory as the top vote getter in the St. Thomas St. John district. The system said it was actually Senator Janelle Sarauw who stood up against the list at the top of the list in the district, finishing with 4,248 votes to Mrs. Gregory's 4,223. Now, on election night, the election system had Miss Fred Gregory with 6,454 votes to Miss Sarauw's 6,357 votes. So, what went wrong, you might ask? According to the election system over in the U.S. Virgin Islands, it inadvertently doubled the senators' totals by adding early voting results with the election day votes. The representative said, and I quote, "After the reading of the St. Thomas St. John early voting results on November 3rd, the at-poll results were inadvertently combined with the St. Thomas St. John district early voting results when submitted to the St. Croix district for final merging as per established protocol." Now, the election system said the combination of results caused a duplication of the St. Thomas St. John early voting numbers. The election system said after conducting of the audit reviews in typical election, as happens all the time, to ensure accuracy of official results, the audit verified the standing of no other candidates has been affected. Now, they continued by saying the system results will be released on November 14. The election system apologizes for any inconvenience which has occurred and is committed to continue to operate in a fair, accessible, and secure, transparent manner. The new results in the St. Thomas St. John district are as follows: Senator Janelle K. Sarauw, 4,248 votes; Donna Fred Gregory, 4,223 votes; Milton E. Potter, 3,931; Carla Joseph, 3,587; Alma Francis Heiliger, 3,572; Marvin A. Blyden, 3,565; Dwayne D. McGrath, 3,066; Anthiel Bobby Thomas, 2,760; Stedman Hodge Jr., 2,690; Stefan Frett, 2,350; Jonathan P. Tucker, 2,175; Ray Fonseca, 2,104; Irvin Mason, 2,031; Wayne Adams, 644, and write-in totals were 230. Now, the results, Kyla, represent a very high surge to Ms. Janelle Sarauw, who came in 6th place during the 2018 general election. Now, the results are owing to the senator's very studying of her craft and very outspoken young lady over in the U.S. Virgin Islands, tough questioning during the Senate hearings, and of course, during the 33rd legislature, Ms. Sarauw drafted over 50 bills and moved over 20 for a very, very solid platform. Now, one of the things that's very interesting over in St. Croix, Kurt Villette, one of Ms. Sarauw's collaborators in the legislators, he maintained his #1 position. In addition to staying in power in the legislature, the powerful Finance Committee chairman has also moved in a very number of bills and really pushed for advocacy for persons who are less fortunate. And in the final analysis, really came in at the front runner over in the U.S. Virgin Islands. But one of the things that's very interesting, Kyla, is Mr. Wayne Faxman Adams, who died I'd say just about 2 to 3 weeks prior to the election,
Right.
because of course the fact that the ballots were already printed, his name remained on the ballot, and he received 644 votes. Now, it's a very interesting phenomenon. Obviously, in a small community of the U.S. Virgin Islands, persons would have known that Mr. Faxman Adams had passed away, but despite him passing away a few weeks before the election, he received, again, 644 votes. Now, what I think initially, while it might seem a bit weird to persons, despite his illness, he continued to garner respect from persons throughout the community.
Yes.
And I think perhaps for some, it might have been a way to honor him in this
Maybe.
scenario. We also see where in one of the U.S. congressional races, a dead man who he also literally won. He died from the coronavirus 2 weeks before elections and literally still won. Whereas now in that particular state, it's a lot more person. So I could understand
If you're
voters
not
not
quite sure.
particularly sure. However, especially around coronavirus, but to see Mr. Adams come in person still voting for him, while it might seem unorthodox, I think it speaks to his legacy and at
I
the
do
end of the day,
agree.
the fact that person still loved and admired him despite of his illness.
I do agree. I think at the end of the day, person still thought that he would be a good representative, although not being here physically. So in his memory, persons probably gave him that vote to just pay that respect. And we can respect that here at 284. Now, viewers, still ahead, the ULP wins 9 seats in the St. Vincent and the Grenadines 2020 elections. You want to hear all about it. This is 284 News, and we'll be right back.
Is business slow, cash flow down, hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media at cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Viewers, welcome back. Thanks for joining us. For those just tuning in, you're watching 284 News out of Tortola in the beautiful British Virgin Islands. We're looking over the regional scene over in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The Unity Labour Party, ULP, of Dr. Ralph Gonzalez has been elected for an unprecedented 5th term to govern St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Now, the party won 9 of the 15 parliamentary seats, picking up the North Leeward constituency held by the NDP before elections. Today, the quote said, the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines embrace the politics of lifting St. Vincent and the Grenadines higher. They embrace our progressive agenda for the future by returning us to government. He continued by saying, that's Dr. Ralph Gonzalez, I am humbled and honored that the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines embrace our bold vision for the future and rejected the politics of hate, backwardness, and colonialism. Noted Ralph Gonzalez, leader of ULP. Now, he asks, as we ask as St. Vincent's to celebrate this victory in peace and maturity. Now, this is a time to come together as one nation and address our development challenges and move forward to uplift our nation and its people. He continued, of course, we want to wish congratulations to Dr. Ralph Gonzalez and his team, and of course, the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines for a safe and mostly incident-free election. That's most important.
That's very good.
One of the things that we notice across the region is COVID-19 has not stopped the election process, and countries all across us, particularly the region, and of course, like the highly anticipated U.S. elections, continue to serve as persons going to see their democratic right, and whether persons might like the outcome or not, the work of the people essentially must continue.
Ron, 2 things on this story. One, a few months ago, we were talking about the election process amid COVID-19.
Yes.
And, you know, right here in the Caribbean, it's a big deal for persons to return home to cast their vote. And we're kind of wondering, will this be a thing in the COVID-19 era? But what we have seen in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, although persons had to travel and quarantine, quite a few nationals returned home to cast that vote. But also, what I have realized from just this remarkable win, I'm not going to note my age, but from time I was in primary school, Ralph Gonzalez has been the head of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
This is his 5th term as an elected official leading
yes, this is
the country.
19 to 20 years leading the country, and I think that is just miraculous. I think it speaks for itself, and it's definitely amazing. So we definitely want to wish him the best. I'm sure he knows what he's doing at this point, but just want to congratulate him in another win. Now, our last story for today, viewers. In the UK, the furlough scheme will be extended across the UK until the end of March. That is in 2021. Now, Chancellor Rishi Sudak has confirmed. Now, Mr. Sudak said the scheme will pay up to 80% of the person's wages, up to £2,500 a month. He told the Commons that the government will review the policy come this January. The Chancellor said his intention was, and I quote, to give businesses security through the winter. The security we are providing will protect millions of jobs. The furlough scheme subsides the wages of people who cannot do their jobs either because their workplaces are closed or because there is no longer enough work for them to do. Mr. Sudak said it would apply throughout the UK, saying the country had and I quote, a treasury for the whole of the United Kingdom, end quote. As part of the revised scheme, anyone made redundant after the 23rd of September can be rehired and put on furlough. Now, what other measures did the Chancellor announce? Mr. Sudak also announced billions of pounds of other support for the economy, including more money for self-employed persons. Support through the Self-Employment Income Support Scheme will be increased with the third grant covering November to January, calculated at 80% of average trading profits, up to a maximum of £7,500. At the same time, the Chancellor raised guarantee funding for the UK's administration by £2 billion to £6 billion, but many people will remain eligible for help, including the newly self-employed, those who pay themselves in dividends, freelancers, and sole traders who previously had a trade profits of more than £50,000. But one we see where in many jurisdictions,
Yes.
even in the UK, having to extend that that help for persons who are out of work now being furloughed. And I think this is something that persons in the BVI are waiting some sort of announcement about,
Yes.
because the pandemic is still going on, and persons are wondering if we're still going through this, if we still need help,
Yes.
who will be there to help us?
Well, one of the things that's very interesting in comparison to our situation and the UK is recently the Honourable Wheatley, Labour Minister, Vincent Wheatley, and representative for the United Electoral District, said that it is possible, and he's employing government reissue a second stimulus as it
Yes.
pertains to the unemployment grant. And that essentially just simply speaks to the fact that the first one doesn't seem to be enough. And it brings the point across, like you said, the pandemic is ongoing, it's not over yet, and persons still continue to feel the blunt of it on the unemployment aspect. So we see where, again, this might be a possibility for our government here in the Virgin Islands having to reissue another stimulus package specific to unemployment. And for some persons, again, the situation as it pertains to loaning from Social Security and all that stuff, that's a different conversation, but it just brings home the fact that it is an ongoing problem, a pandemic, and it's not something that would have been completed by just one stimulus.
Exactly. It's not just that it would not have been enough, Ron, but just the fact that it's ongoing. Persons might say, well, our economy has opened back up now, but we have to remember that tourism industry employs many persons, and many tourism based companies, and just that industry on a whole is still wondering where their next dollar will come from. So we cannot rule out that those persons.
One of the things that's really important as we seek to not only reopen internally, but as we seek to reopen the borders for December 1st, what I think is important for residents to understand as it pertains to us reopening the borders is reopening the borders does not necessarily mean that you are going to get the influx of visitors and business that you would expect, particularly because, again, many persons are saying that our protocols are a little bit stiff, and what we're seeing is a lot of cancellations based on what is required.
Yeah.
So while we are happy and thankful that the borders will be reopened, I think persons need to, particularly in that industry and residents as a whole, need to be a bit more realistic in their expectations as it pertains to the type of business and the level of business that will be coming back into the BVI waters. I think it is going to be a little bit of a task, and it's going to take a little bit of time for us to get back to the point, of course, that we initially were at.
Most definitely. Viewers, that is it for today's news roundup. Be sure to follow us for your daily news updates at 284media.com. Of course, go over to Facebook and like us at 284media and 284BVI on Instagram as well as Twitter. It is always my pleasure. I am Kyla Kenesha Forbes.
And I'm Ron Grant. We're wishing you again a happy Friday and a happy Culture Day. Have a beautiful weekend, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.